Welcome to our explainer. Today, we are cracking open the official Scrum Guide. Our goal? To break down the real rules for one of the most popular ways to tackle complex work out there, Scrum. Let's dive right in.
So let's start with a situation I'm sure you've been in. You're working on something big, something complicated. The targets keep moving, the path forward is murky. How in the world are you supposed to build anything valuable in that kind of chaos? Well, if you've ever been on a long project, you already know that those huge, detailed upfront plans, they can be totally useless almost the moment they're finished. The world just changes too fast. You need a solution that can change with it. And that right there is where Scrum comes into the picture. Okay, so what is Scrum, really? To get the straight answer, let's go directly to the source for the official definition. Now, the most important phrase here is lightweight framework. This is not some heavy, complicated rule book or a step-by-step instruction manual. It's much simpler. Think of it more like a container, a basic structure you put your work into to help you solve those tough problems and actually create some value. At its very heart, Scrum is just a simple, repeating cycle. A product owner figures out what's most important to do. The team then builds a small, valuable piece of it in a short period of time called a sprint. After that, everyone, the team, the stakeholders, gets together to look at what was just made and decide what to do next. And then you just do it all over again. It's all about learning as you go. But why does this simple little loop work so well? Well, it's all built on one big idea: empiricism. And that sounds fancy, but all it really means is learning from experience and making decisions based on what you actually know, not what you guess. So the first pillar of that idea is transparency. For Scrum to have any chance of working, everything, the work, the progress, the problems, has to be out in the open for everyone to see. I mean, you can't fix what you can't see, right? And once everything is visible, you can move on to the second pillar, inspection. This just means you have to check in on the work and your progress really often. This isn't about micromanaging people. It's about spotting when you're going off track early, before a small problem becomes a giant one. And that, of course, leads right into our third pillar, adaptation. If you inspect the work and realize something's wrong, you don't just keep going. You adjust. You change course right away based on what you just learned. This tight little loop, transparency, inspection, and adaptation, is the real engine that makes Scrum run. But, those pillars need a solid foundation to stand on. And in Scrum, that foundation is made up of 5 values: commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. What's so cool is how they all work together. You need courage to be open about problems. You need respect to look at those problems without blaming anyone. And you need real commitment and focus to actually adapt and make things better. They're the human element that powers the whole thing. Okay, so who are the people actually doing all this? The heart of Scrum is the Scrum team. And it's designed to be one small, self-contained group. No hierarchies, no sub-teams, just one team. Now, inside that team, there are 3 specific jobs or accountabilities. You've got the developers. They're the ones with the skills to actually build the product. Then there's the product owner, whose job is to figure out what to build to create the most value. And finally, you have the Scrum Master, who's like a coach for the team, making sure they understand and use the Scrum framework well. And to make sure the team can communicate easily and stay agile, the size is kept small. We're talking 10 people or fewer. If a team gets bigger than that, the idea is to split it into 2. It's all about staying nimble. So, how does this small team actually get work done? They operate on a steady, consistent rhythm. The heartbeat of Scrum is an event with a fixed length, and it's called the sprint. The sprint itself is like a container. It's never more than a month long, and inside it are 4 other key events. It all kicks off with sprint planning, where the team figures out what they're going to do. Then, every single day, the developers have a quick 15-minute daily Scrum to sync up. At the very end of the sprint, you've got the sprint review to show stakeholders what got done, and the sprint retrospective, where the team looks at its own process to see how they can get better. Every one of these events is a chance to inspect and adapt. We've talked a lot about transparency, but how does a Scrum team actually make its work visible? Well, they use 3 specific tools, Scrum calls them artifacts, to make sure everyone can see the work and the goals. And to make sure everyone is pulling in the same direction, each of these artifacts is tied to a commitment. Think of it like a road trip. The product goal, that's your ultimate destination. The sprint goal is the next big city you're trying to reach on this leg of the journey. And the increment, the actual working thing you've built has to meet the definition of done. That's your quality standard, making sure the car is in good shape every time you stop. All right, we have covered the theory, the team, the events, and the artifacts. But before we wrap up, I want to share the single most critical rule in the entire Scrum Guide. And here it is. This is so important. You can't just cherry pick the parts of Scrum you like. Doing a daily meeting but skipping the part where you reflect and improve? That's not Scrum. The guide is incredibly clear about this. The framework only really works when you use all the parts together. If you start changing the rules or leaving things out, you're just hiding problems and you won't get the real benefits. So there you have it, a quick trip through the official Scrum Guide. It really is a simple set of rules designed for a very complex world, all built on the idea of learning and adapting as you go. And so the question I'll leave you with is this. When you think about the complex problems you're facing, how could this simple framework help you?